Hello everyone. In this lecture, I am going to discuss about prototype software development lifecycle model. In the previous lecture, we discussed about waterfall model and its advantages and disadvantages. Prototype model addresses the requirement specification limitation of waterfall model. The basic idea in prototype model is that instead of freezing the requirements before a design or coding can proceed, a throwaway prototype is built to understand the requirements. This prototype is developed based on the currently known requirements. Prototype model is a software development model. By using this prototype, the client can get an actual feel of the system, since the interaction with the prototype can enable the client to better understand the requirements of the desired system. At the end of this lesson, the students will be able to describe why and when a prototype needs to be developed during the software development, and also identify the situations in which one would prefer to build a prototype. These are the contents that I am going to cover in this session. What is prototype? The prototype are usually not a complete system, and many of the details are not built in the prototype. The goal is to provide a system with overall functionality. So prototype is called as a working model of a software with some limited functionalities. It is also called as a early sample or a model built to test a concept or a process. The goal is to provide a system with overall functionality. The prototype does not always hold the exact logic used in the actual software application and is an extra effort to be considered under the effort estimation. It is also called as an iterative or trial and error process that takes place between the developer and users. This model works best in scenarios where not all of the project requirements are known in detail ahead of the time. Now, pause a video for a minute and think about what is the need for a prototype in the software development. Even though we have waterfall model in the software development, then what is the need of prototype model in a software project development? A prototype of the actual product is preferred in situations such as if the user requirements are not complete and if the technical issues are not clear. Let us see an example for each of the above category. For example, if the user requirements are not complete in any application software like billing in a retail shop, accounting in a firm, the users of the software are not clear about the different functionalities required. Once they are provided with the prototype implementation, then they can try to use it and find out the missing functionalities. Then one more example is if the technical issues are not clear. Suppose a project involves writing a compiler and the development team has never written a compiler. In such a case, the team can consider a simple language, try to build a compiler in order to check the issues that arise in the process and resolve them. After successfully building a small compiler or a prototype, then they would extend it to one that supports a complete language. Next, we will see the development of prototype. The development of a prototype, it starts with an initial requirements and only key features which need a better understanding are included in the prototype. No point in including those features that are well understood, and feedback from the users taken to improve the understanding of the requirements. So that is the one of the advantage of this prototype model. Feedback from the users are taken to improve the requirements. the client requirements or user requirements. Next, we will see the prototype model. There are several steps in the prototype model. The new system requirements are defined in as much detail as possible. This usually involves interviewing a number of users representing all the departments or aspects of the existing system. A preliminary design is created for a new system and a prototype of the new system is constructed from the preliminary design. This is usually a scaled down system and represents an approximation of the characteristics of the final product. The users thoroughly evaluate the first prototype, noting its strengths and weaknesses, what needs to be added and what should be removed. The developer collects and analyzes the remarks from the users. The first prototype is modified based on the comments that are received from the users, and a second prototype of the new system is constructed. The second prototype is also evaluated in the same manner as it was the first prototype, and the preceding steps are iterated as many times as necessary until the users are satisfied that the prototype represents the final product desired. The final system is constructed based on the final prototype. The final system is thoroughly evaluated and tested. A routine maintenance is carried out on continuing basis to prevent a large scale failure and to minimize the downtime. Next, we will see the advantages of prototype model. Users are actively involved in the developments. All the users in the development of a project, they are actively participated, and a working model of the system is provided where the users get better understanding. Users, they work on the prototype and they understand the requirements. The errors can be detected much earlier. The quicker user feedback is available, leading to a better solution, and missing functionalities that can be identified easily as the user is working on a demo version prototype model, so that he can identify the functionalities that are required for the project. Confusing or difficult functions can be identified easily. So these are some of the advantages of prototype model. Next, we will see the disadvantages of prototype model. As the scope of the system may extend beyond the original plans, which increases the complexity of the system. So this methodology may increase the complexity of the system. If the requirements are monitored properly and effort invested in building a prototype may be too much potential hit on the cost and schedule. So user may get confused between the prototype and the actual system. So these are some drawbacks of the prototype model. Next, note down the assignment. Describe when to use the prototype model with an example. So these are the references that I refer for these contents. Thank you.